Okay, I'm down.
Another question. Why are you running as a Democrat, given your criticism of the Democratic Party?
Okay. If you look at the history of third parties in the United States, and you know, I remember I think it was AOC said something like in another country, she, and I think she was referring to a mansion or someone, wouldn't even be in the same party. I think it's one of the great mysteries of history. Why didn't they give us a parliamentarian system, but they didn't? Okay, let's look at the history. Third party voices have been extremely important. Abolition came from the Abolitionist Party, women's suffrage came from the Women's Party, Social Security came from the Socialist Party. It was a few decades ago that the Democrat and the Republican Party formed an unholy alliance to make it very, very difficult for anyone of a third party to even get in there. This is when they took over the presidential debates from the League of Women Voters. This is why they were able to, screw over Ralph Nader the way they did, et cetera. So we all know there's a corporate duopoly, et cetera. At this point, whether you run as a Democrat or you run third party like someone like Cornel, it's just a gut call. I'm a little bit nostalgic. I grew up, the camp you went to, that's the kind of home I was raised in. Roosevelt Democrats, Roosevelt. And I'm a Roosevelt, I wouldn't call myself a scholar, but certainly I read every book I can. And I believe in the unequivocal advocacy for the working people of the United States was the core pillar of the Democratic Party when Franklin Roosevelt was president. And I believe we need stronger third-party voices. But right now, and this is not a criticism of Cornel, because I don't have a criticism of anyone who's going third party. I think that everybody has to ask in life, where can I best serve? And I feel that I look at someone like the corporatist establishment at the Democratic Party. They look at progressives like us, and they act like we're trying to hijack the Democratic Party. They hijack the Democratic Party. I'm Franklin and Eleanor. They're the DuPonts and the Morgans and the Whitneys and all those people. So, my God, I feel my greatest contribution at this moment is to seek the restoration of the traditional principles of the Democratic Party. I'm not stupid, I'm not naive, and right now I'm in the middle of the belly of that beast. I'm deeply aware. No one needs to inform me the institutional resistance on the part of the powers that be within the DNC against anyone who either is towing the line with them or who has not been part of their machine to do what I just articulated. My gut was do it this way. But I'm not saying someone else should look at it differently. I think that there are legitimate reasons. I'm not part of today's I feel this way, therefore you're wrong if you feel differently crowd. Everybody has to do what their heart leads them to do.
And would you consider running as an independent at any point? Or
well, when I ran for Congress, I ran as an independent. And I ran as an independent for all the reasons that we're talking about. But I learned from that race how difficult the Democrats had made it, and Republicans, of course, for anyone running as a Democrat, as an independent. So, I look back at that race. I think right now, somebody told me, Katie, that the most successful tightrope walkers are people who have no net. Right now, I have to keep my consciousness on where I am. I have to keep my consciousness on where I am. I'm running for the Democratic nomination for the presidency of the United States.
What if Cornel asked you to join him as a running mate? Would you do that?
What, the guy gets to be on top and the woman? No. Why are we asking what Cornel would ask me as his running mate? We're so trained to think in those patriarchal terms.
Well, because I have no faith in the Democratic Party. I mean, that's partly why. Do you think there's any chance you'll see a debate stage? they'll let you debate?
You know, if people make enough noise, if enough people support my campaign. I mean, this is the way these narratives work. It's a long shot. Well, Trump was certainly considered a long shot. Barack Obama was considered a long shot. So they say these things, or she's an unserious candidate. I'm the one talking about Medicare for all. I'm the one talking about tuition-free college. I'm the one talking about declaring a climate emergency. I'm the one talking about a guaranteed living wage. So clearly they say I'm unserious because I'm serious. And if people hear me, it points out how unserious they are about the suffering of the majority of Americans and people around the world who are affected by US policy. So, you know, it breaks my heart to see how many people fall for that. You have a progressive running for the Democratic nomination. And I, for the life of me, don't understand how, you know, and I, with all due respect to Bernie, who I adore and revere as much as the next person, him and also AOC, how are you going to help push Biden left by endorsing him and endorsing him early in the campaign? I just don't understand it. And also all of these people who are just lining up, although now perhaps that will break because the polls make it so clear that the majority of Americans don't want Biden to run again. But once again, there is already a progressive running. There is a progressive running. And of course, they promulgate this myth that the only qualified people to lead us out of the ditch are people who've been part of the machinery that drove us into the ditch. And I object to that. And I also object to the idea that, you know, it's funny they talk about I've never served. Bobby Kennedy hasn't run for office. Cornel West hasn't run for office. For that matter, Ralph Nader hadn't run for office. And despite the lies promulgated about my career, I've had as serious a career and as serious a life as any of those esteemed gentlemen, who I do respect for various reasons.